Thank you really very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really want to thank you, Vig, for having me, and also especially to Angie, who organized everything. The World of 2084. The Romantic poet Samuel Coleridge wrote an epic ballad poem, Kubla Khan, after a dream with the help of a little opium. Well, it was supposed to be an epic poem. It was supposed to be 200, 300 lines. But in the middle of writing it, he got a visitor. And the poem never got finished. My project started with kind of a Kubla Khan moment. In July 2014, I was in Tai O, Hong Kong, in a coffee shop. The coffee shop is on stilts above a canal. And I was drifting in and out of sleep for about 20 minutes. I stood up, woke up, and wrote the whole story in one sitting. In early 21st century, a whopping 5% of plastic waste is recycled. 50% is sent to the landfill, and the rest finds its way to the ocean and becomes food for sea animals such as sharks, whales, seabirds, and sea turtles. Over time, these animals developed an insatiable appetite for plastic and refused to eat anything else. Seeing this as a win-win situation, the G5, the 5 great industrial nations, set up regular feeding sessions for the animals. This works remarkably well for decades, until for some months, fewer and fewer animals come, and one day, no animal come at all. Now, what to do with all that plastic? At the annual G5 meeting in 2084, the delegates of Contradictoria proposes, if animals can learn to eat plastic, why can't children? To that, the delegates of the Republic of Strata says, awesome. Immediately, the two countries implement nationwide plastic school minis. That is a smashing success. Before long, the whole world follows suit. Everyone wants a piece of plastic. In fact, everyone is having a piece of plastic. Here we have Teledrome, plastic bar, chocolate-covered pens. It is in this world we meet our protagonist, Miss Dodo, who is a teacher and also the only person who thinks there's something wrong with this picture. Later in this narrative, Miss Dodo meets an ancient sea turtle, possibly the last one left in the world. This work, Plastic, Plastic Everywhere, was first shown as a drawing installation, and later as a book, and most recently, a film, which we will watch after listening to me. Plastic, plastic everywhere. The fish will be wrecked. Plastic, plastic everywhere. Not a soul is left. The name also came from our friend Coleridge, his poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. This time he did finish his poem. So the Rime of the Ancient Mariner tells the narrative of a sailor who kills an albatross bird. And that incident brings bad luck to him and his crew for the rest of his life. So for me to treat nature and something nature offers that is potentially so nurturing and so great is just plain cruelty and stupidity. And that to me reflects our cavalier attitude towards using plastic or just consumption in general. And that's where the title came from. If we could go back to the scene of the G5 meeting, we have 5 imaginary countries here. From the left, we have Dreamland, Northlandia, Contradictoria, the Republic of Strata, and the Aristocratic Union. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the micro-narrative of Contradictoria. In 2084, the imaginary country Contradictoria solves their pollution problem with plant polluter. They condense air pollution into building bricks, and with these bricks, they build these floating artist colonies in the air. Artists can work, live, show for free forever. This sounds too good to be true. As I can tell from this reaction of an artist, it is too good to be true. The work was recently shown in Oakland at Co-op's Gallery. This work has been presented as text, propaganda banner paintings, propaganda woodblock prints, and a performance. And you will have a taste of all of them. To introduce you to the world of Polluta, I shall read some features of this place from the Resident's Guide of Polluta. All Polluta communities are located 10,000 feet above the ground and accessible only by climbing up a red beanstalk. Artists tell us time after time how much they enjoy the luxury of space and the exceptional air quality. I would like to stress that a red beanstalk is not a beanstalk of the color red, but a stalk of red beans. In fact, red beans grow on trees. So, arguably, red beanstalks do not exist. Does that mean the only portal to Polluta does not exist? Free Wi-Fi is available throughout Polluta. For the sake of the residents' mental health, online content deemed harmful are filtered as appropriate by the Ministry of Technology. One question I always get is, where does the year 2084 came from? Polluta does not operate under a cash economy. The rooftop farms produce most of the food consumed by the community. Other daily essentials and art supplies must be flown in via flying elephants. All artists like to play. The Ministry of Polluta has built amusement parks featuring water parks, roller coasters, Ferris wheels above each Polluta. The admission to the park covers the general expenses incurred by Polluta communities. Artists enjoy free entry to the park on their birthdays and on the annual Polluta Community Day. May I add that, which means artists can only enjoy the park alone on their birthdays or on the community day when the park is packed beyond belief. In line with the environmental concerns that initiated this project, Polluta proudly features waterless compost toilets that generate fertilizer for our rooftop farms. Furthermore, grey water from the sinks and showers is filtered and recycled into drinking water with the same state of art or natural algae technology that gave birth to Polluta. This might sound strange to us, but in Singapore, they have been drinking sewage water for a while, and arguably, Singapore is the most successful country managing and recycling their water supply. A fun little story. So the compost toilet idea dates back to my college years at UBC. Did anyone go to UBC, or you have a relationship with UBC, or you're familiar with the campus? So I think I got confirmation on Tuesday that CK Shore Building is still the only building that has compost toilets. At that time, I would make a detour and go to CK Shore Building to answer nature's call. So it's just a little fun story to share. Blessed by the unique locations high above our great cities, Polluta operates exclusively on solar and wind power, covering heat, lighting, jacuzzis, and amusement park rides. On overcast, windless days, artists are advised to take extended naps. We love naps. All food scraps from the dining hall and kitchen are fed to our residents' pigs, which are transformed into roast pork and ham for our annual New Year celebration. And this is a new feature that came up when I reread Brave New World earlier this year. It is illegal to bury corpses at Polluta. Deceased residents will be cremated by fire-breathing dragons resided in the deep, dark dungeon. Ashes are used as fertilizer in the rooftop farm to encourage big, fat crops. Do we have any vegans or vegetarians in the room? Animal rights activists? Don't be shy. Cover your ears. Pets are only allowed in pet-friendly quarters as indicated at the time of application. Pets found in other areas will be escorted to the kitchen. So, when I started this work 3 years ago as part of an exchange program with Hong Kong Baptist University, Hamburg City University, and Zurich University of the Arts, I only presented this work as a performance and a pamphlet because I really had difficulty coming up with one definitive appearance of Polluta. Not only do I think the appearance of Polluta is slippery and eternally shifting, but I could not think of one image that would define this place. So I resorted to people more creative than myself. Children. To date, I have made 12 Polluta workshops at various schools and with organizations all over the world, in fact. That was Sitka, Alaska, Hong Kong, this was East Vancouver. So children are introduced to this world of Polluta, and then they are asked to design this world with me. So every single Polluta artwork that you have seen or will see is based on a child's work. Now let's enjoy some of these children's talent. Some of the works are based on the child's work conceptually, like this one. According to the child, the TV is feeding memories to the Polluta residents. That looks like a worm in my opinion. So my painting here, can anyone read Chinese? So this is a group of Polluta residents, and here they are watching TV. So the text says, black and white, clear as daylight, which just means black and white, black is black, white is very clear. But there's another, Chinese proverb that says, black and white, topsy-turvy, which means black is seen as white, white is seen as black. So first of all, the two words, black and white, are upside down. And the word black is of course in white, and the word white is of course in black. And here is an official plaque that says People's Memory Television Station. Well, if we have flying elephants, of course we have floating duck. That was so obvious to this child. This is one of my favorites. So this was teamwork with 5 children, featuring the elephant dung, residence dormitory, rooftop farm, and the amusement park, and flying elephants. So I incorporated all the elements and made it into a 5-level pagoda. We have the dung, we have the dormitory, we have the farm, the park, and then flying elephants. Some of the drawings are used just visually, and I really still think hers is way better than mine. I would like to talk a little bit about the choice of medium. I started making propaganda woodblock prints for Palooza. As you can tell, I plan to make 99 unique prints. So far, I've completed 7. So in the 1930s and 40s, China saw an explosion of patriotic sentiment because of recent national insults, such as the Boxer Protocol. The scholar and writer Lu Xun advocated the use of woodblock printing as a mass medium to 1. Reveal social problems of China, 2. To portray lives of the working class, and 3. Really to glorify the working class. Woodblock prints have actually existed in China for over 1,000 years, but only for religious and folk purposes. The traditional woodblock prints were undoubtedly cheerful, colorful, and exclusively in Chinese ink and watercolor. But if you look at probably the most famous image from that new woodcut movement, the image is very contrasty, is monochromatic, and the lines are much more crude than the traditional works. Also, they used oil. They used European oil-based paint. If you think about it, using a European material itself was a political gesture when China wasn't even accessible to the West and vice versa. So, borrowing that visual language, I came up with a growing body of woodblock prints. Similarly, a lot of the imageries are borrowed from propaganda materials in China, especially those adopted by the Communist Party in the 60s and 70s. When we look at the posters here, woodblock prints, they look like antique to us. But at that time, they were really the mass media to spread messages. It's just like our social media today. They were everywhere. They were on the streets, in the cities, in rural villages. And because their purpose was to spread messages, they were purposely cheap. So even the working class could purchase them and display them as decoration at home. The text is always relentlessly optimistic. Passion for labor. Reunite, fight for greater success. Same as the text in all the Palooza works. Intestines full of facts. The house is prosperous with money and people. Here we have flying elephants and the whole sky floating dung, and the text is fragrance everywhere. Now, I would like to compare Palooza to the artist union in the Soviet Union from 1932 to 1992. Palooza ideology, excuse the title. In a world that has become an environmental and geopolitical mess, Palooza provides a rare safe haven for artists to work in peace. Art should portray an optimistic picture of Palooza. Art should further our national environmental causes. Art should be honest about the world today. Myth, folklore, and fairy tales are strongly discouraged. In order to protect the equilibrium of our sacred ecotopia, artists should strive to nurture and protect Palootarian ideology. And here's the 4 no's. No innovation, no inspiration, no intuition, and no investigation. And here is the motto for, or the goal for the Artists Union of the Soviet Union, which could be summarized in this clause. The products of cultural activity are of value, depending on their nature, for certain groups of people, classes of society, peoples, and nations, for certain societies, or for mankind as a whole. The objective criteria for defining a cultural value is its progressive character for society. So both in Polluta and in the Soviet Union at that time, art was not for personal expression, it was not for commercial gains, but it was a social and political activity. So you may ask, how do we become a Polluta resident? The only way to become a resident is through an entry interview. The artist, as the president of Polluta, conduct entry interviews to potential residents. And depending on how they answer, they are either admitted or rejected. At this point, may I ask a brave volunteer to be the next interviewee? You can just stay there.
Just stay there?
Yeah. All right. As you know, we transport everything to Polluta via flying elephants. Over time, we now have a 20-story pile of elephant dung at Polluta. This is causing us great headache. Could you please help us solve this problem?
Sure. Do I suggest a solution?
I'm waiting.
Okay. Well, maybe you can harness the elephant dung for fuel to heat your homes, because it's very fragrant too, apparently, sounds good. So not only does it provide fuel to warm houses, but it also makes houses smell good, apparently.
You are accepted, and you are in charge of this project. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Do I have another volunteer? Okay. The Ministry of Happiness has come up with a new drug that allows our residents to urinate wine and defecate chocolate.
Nice.
We are now debating whether to package our products as gifts to important officials or to give them to the poor. What do you say?
Yes.
Yes to what?
Both.
Both?
You could simultaneously feed the poor and make the rich feel appreciated.
But how would the rich feel special if they're getting the same thing the poor are getting?
You package them differently.
Packaging. Can you do design?
Yeah.
You are accepted. Congratulations. Do we have time for one more, or should we move on? One more. Okay, we have one last one. All right, you're getting a eerie one. The Ministry of Polluta is working with the Ministry of Chinese Medicine to invent a worm that would live in your brains and record all your thoughts and report them back to us. We are now looking for a new resident to spread the lava in our water supply. We have chosen you. What do you say?
That sounds kind of dangerous. What about privacy?
You are rejected. Next. So let's see how other people did with the interview.
residents.
So you would draw a ball, and the number would determine what question you get.
One of the duties of polluter residents is to produce offspring for the government when requested. You may not choose your partner. The entire procedure will be reported. You may have no contact with the offspring. His or her identity will not be revealed. Would you be willing to do that?
Why not? I'm doing it with machine learning anyway.
Good purpose. One day, the newest polluter resident looks uncannily like you. What would you do?
Say, you're going to be replaced by machines anyway.
Congratulations, you are accepted. Because there is not enough space on Earth for everyone. We have been sending pilot residents to Mars over the past decade. We are now worried because we have not received their daily report for the past month. We will now send you to Mars to investigate this matter. What 3 essential items will you bring with you? We don't have all day here.
A form of communication, like technology, and a compass. I don't know.
You're boring, but I like it. You're accepted to Palooza. Congratulations. Please complete the Palooza logo.
So if you're accepted, then you get to choose one of the masks and take official mugshots for your resident card. Each interviewee has to fill out the form first. These are some of the cards. And each of them has to complete the Palooza logo during the interview.
You need to complete the Palooza logo.
So this guy was initially accepted. He has already been accepted, and now he just needs to finish the logo.
B.
Are you finished?
X.
Where is your form?
S. Is it a T?
Where is your form?
Dang it. I lost.
Where is your form?
I didn't bring it, so I'm lost.
Take my line. You are rejected. Thank you everyone for your interest to join the Bay Area Polluted Colony. There will be a recruitment session later. See you.
So the exhibition was in June to July this year. And of course, at that time, the Bay Area, which means Oakland, San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, the whole area was talking about border issues and immigration. This work started 3 years ago. The performance was done twice in Hong Kong in 2015. So border issue was not on everyone's radar like it is today. But it was a poignant reminder for me how arts could become so relevant when current events pop up. And likewise, I started using animal motifs well before the carrot was elected. But the meaning of animality also took on a new layer of meaning. The the American audiences responded to Palooza very differently than I have experienced previously. So the idea of using a mask actually came from one of my favorite works. Does anyone know this work? At least one person should. So Gillian Waring is a British performance artist, and this work called Secrets and Lies is a video piece. I'm so sad because I actually have not seen the work in person ever, and the video is not available anywhere online. But she set up newspapers ads asking for volunteers to give confessions. And she chose these people to come to her studio, and they would wear a mask and give confessions of deep life secrets. And my favorite, and probably everyone's favorite, is the secret of the middle guy who loves menstrual blood from its source. And to me, the intriguing space is it depends on it's hooked on the title Secrets and Lies. So we never know if that confession is really a deep secret or it's simply a lie. And for me, Palooza also resides in that space. There is so much contradictions, and the truth is always shifting, and the messages always change, and within one sentence would be just two completely contradicting messages. This is the imaginary map of 2084, and you could see the 5 imaginary countries here. I plan to spend the next 3 decades expanding the micro-narratives of the 5 countries, and that would weave together the geopolitical maps of 2084, especially one impacted by climate change in the new age of Anthropocene. I would like to end with the ending of Plastic Everywhere, where Miss Dodo thinks the sea turtle is dead, but he actually pops up without her knowledge and follows her. Often when I think of climate change and related environmental problems, I feel helpless. I feel like it's too late already. There's no point in doing anything. And then I think if we don't have hope, we have nothing to go on. Thank you.